Good afternoon, everybody. We will be starting in a couple of minutes as people are joining in. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. We will start in a minute's time as we are waiting for people to join. Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the session today. I look forward to an extremely interesting session. Many of us have, in our course of our life, implemented maybe one or more ERPs, and we know that what a huge investment it is in terms of time, energy, and money. It's usually the single biggest investment any company makes in IT, at least in every 5 years or so. This could be their biggest initiative. And always we have this question that, okay, I have done my ERP, but there are certain pockets in my enterprise which can still be digitized, and this can give me much better ROI, especially if what I digitize can work seamlessly with my existing ERP. The combination will be extremely good. So we are going to be talking about 3 specific ERP extensions with multiple times we have seen give huge value addition to any business. And our focus is going to be, to help you understand whether this is useful for you in your enterprise scenario. We'll be talking about how to digitize and manage documents more effectively. We'll be talking about how to manage your supply chain forecasting, improve forecasting for both demand and supply, and make it more effective and make it work seamlessly with the ERP. And last but not least, of course, unleashing the power of analytics and making the best out of the huge volumes of data that your ERP is collecting day and night, whether you are working, not working, the ERP keeps collecting all this information. My name is Kumar Mallampalli. I'm partner and co-founder at RheinBrücke. And over the last 3 decades, I've worked across multiple domains, multiple geographies. I worked in India, Middle East, Europe, as well as in the Americas, dealing with large enterprise customers, especially more experience in the airline and automotive sector. I'm very happy to introduce to you our speaker for the day, Mr. Suresh Chandrasekharan. He is the Chief Technology Officer at RheinBrücke, and over more than 2 decades of experience in technology, solution architecture, IT landscape design, especially in an enterprise context, providing solutions and technical leadership across multiple business domains. He comes with immense ERP knowledge, and this helps in him identifying the best solution that will fit your business problems. Suresh, a warm welcome to you, and really look forward to this very interesting session today.
Thank you, Kumar, and good afternoon to all of you. Thank you.
So in terms of, the first business problem, right, information management, I know that digitization of our IT landscape has resulted in an explosion of information. We are going, sometimes, we feel we are going crazy because information is now at your fingertips, on your mobile phone, in social, in your enterprise applications. It is everywhere. The challenge we face is how to get it structured, how to handle it more efficiently, how to use it so that the traditional manual processes can also be managed and done more efficiently, faster, and with less risk to the enterprise. So I think this is the first big problem statement which everybody has been asking us. So Suresh, over to you. First and foremost, of course, what do we do with all this information? Do we go crazy or we manage it better? So over to you, please.
Okay, thanks, Kumar. And when you look at document repository, right, kind of there are different kinds of documents we are talking about, right? And especially in an enterprise kind of an environment, we are talking about documents in, let's say that actually all your emails could be any kind of mails needs to be archived and kept it, right? It could be any other documents like your purchase orders, your invoices, right? And contracts. You can have hundreds of documents in typically in an organization. And when we talk about these documents, there are two challenges. One is the amount of documents which we need to handle. The second thing is basically how secure it is actually. But at the same time, it has also got certain other constraints when it comes to from a compliance perspective, right? How are we keeping the document? And do we have all documents available readily, right? The second thing is basically the efficiency. When I say efficiency, how is the document available? Where is it available? How quickly retrievable those documents are, right? And availability of those things, actually, as you rightly said, these days people are carrying mobile phones, and majority of the business is done using such devices. So do we get access of the required documents on our devices, what we handle, what we carry, right? As well as, can I do something if I want to look at something, approve it, and probably, let's say that actually forward to someone, right? Is it all possible using my devices, which I'm carrying all the time with me? So that is a huge challenge, right? And these are all things we need to look at it from efficiency point of view, productivity point of view. From a, let's say, compliance perspective, the documents are key, as well as how do we store it in an organization, and how do we share it across different people. This is very key, right? And especially these days, when it comes to document, let's take a simple example as a contract, right? Contract may have different versions. It is not something actually we put a final contract and store it somewhere. The contract ordering process itself, probably there could be different versions of that. People may make different changes to the document. Is it something easy for us to manage all these things in a proper way, so people know that actually what changes have been incorporated, right? And who is approving what documents, and how quickly we can go and compare the two documents, all these challenges you may have it. The other thing is basically when the number of documents grows, where do we store it, and how quickly we can retrieve it? That's number two, right? Then there is another huge challenge actually. And in a large organization, if you go back and look at your previous slide, where the complexity, number of companies increases, or let's say that actually number of people in an organization increases, naturally the number of documents as well go, right? And then the challenge is basically when we have typical, let's say, an AP invoice is coming in, right? As supplier invoices. Is it something we are doing it in a traditional way by sitting, and AP clerk is sitting and keying in those information, those invoices into the system? Or we have an automated way of capturing that document, converting that into typical transactions in the system, right? And processing that, right? Rather than somebody sitting and wasting time in terms of entering transaction. All these things used to happen when technology was not there, right? Somebody has to sit and read it, and somebody has to key in. But that's not the case today. If I have a document, the system can read those documents, convert that in an intelligent way, and appear in a certain place. Like if it is an AP invoice, it's an AP invoice. I'm a customer, probably processing a lot of orders actually from customer perspective. So what we may do is basically I will use that sales orders or the purchase orders, what the customer sent. I want the system to read it automatically and process it and put it into the system, right? There can be hundreds of such scenarios actually. Somebody sitting and manually keying in those things, actually, it is highly inefficient, and it is not something productive, as well as I would say that actually there are a lot of possibility for having errors as well, right? And inefficiency is one of the key things. These days, people definitely look at something which is efficiency is the key focus, and productivity, right? Rather than how it is being done. And whatever efficient way of doing things, actually, that is something which people focus and make sure that actually that's happening. Now, the next thing is basically, if you have a document, how quickly we can pull out or retrieve those documents actually for certain purpose, right? And we all got used to having huge file cabinets actually next to our tables, and as and when we need, we go and a kind of a human indexing is done in terms of manual indexing is done, where purchase order from so and so to so and so is in one file. You go and pull that out, keep searching for it, right? And review it. Those kind of things actually. That's not what people wanted to do today. And that's not the way people wanted to operate today. And especially the pandemic, though it is kind of almost disappeared. But if you look at it, that has taught us a big lesson, right? Huge lesson, because that's the time we realized, hey, my file cabinet is not something which is not going to sit next to me. I may be working somewhere else. And these days, the remote workforce is, number of remote workforce is increasing. So people are not having access to their files and informations actually, how quickly we can go and review such documents to take necessary actions, actually, that is key. So overall, if you look at it, actually, the amount of informations we have it or documents we have it, and how quickly we can retrieve it and reuse it, right? And in certain other cases where there are a lot of manual document which flows through the organization actually, right? And how do we automate it? How do we have processes around it? So from a compliance perspective, as well as from a information availability, approval, all those different things, how we are going to tackle it, that is a huge challenge, and that is something which is very relevant in today's perspective. Now, if you look at the other aspects, which is more from a security perspective, right? One, we talked about availability of information, because too much of information is available, too much of document is available, how quickly we can archive it and retrieve it, right? And the next question is basically, is it in a secured way or not, actually, right? Because the information must be secured. It is not that actually we can just store that file in a file folder in the server, right? That's what people must be thinking. Now, why don't you keep a file folder and keep everything and dump everything into that? Actually, that's not what people want to have today. Security is something which nobody wants to compromise, because we all know that actually the risk associated with it. I don't have to talk about actually the security aspects, but it is important for us to make sure those concerns are addressed. The information is stored in a secured manner, so there is no challenge associated with it, right? Or kind of all the sensitive documents, and the advantage what we have is basically you have an ability in terms of deciding what kind of documents can be viewed by whom, and what kind of access levels are set with different stakeholders in the organization, right? And who can access what. And definitely from a business continuity perspective, it is key, right? Because that's one of the key audit challenge I'm sure most of the organizations would have faced in the audits, information security audits, or any other audits which they have done, right? If something happens, actually, what kind of business continuity plans we have? Do we have a copy of these documents kept somewhere else, actually, right? And nobody wants to keep big paper files, actually, and keep referring back to that. It's something which we have to have it in a secured way, stored somewhere else. And in case of an eventuality, we'll be able to make use of those documents as well, right? And there are also possibilities of losing important data. And from a non-compliance perspective, actually, there is a huge risk. And we always wanted to have a single source of the truth, right? When we say that actually ERP is my single source of the truth, and everything must be linked to that. Actually, if I am in a invoice screen in my ERP, I should be able to real time go and look at actually where is the copy of that invoice, and what's that invoice all about, right? And rather than going and referring to a file cabinet, if it is a purchase order, same the case. If it is a contract, it is the same case. So at the end of the day, how easily and quickly you can retrieve the information, documents, what is stored in the application, how that is seamlessly connected with your core ERP system, how you will be able to improve efficiency and compliance and thereby productivity. So we can get more with bit less. That's going to be the motto, and I would say that actually the organization, what majority of the organization are looking at, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, Suresh. It's no doubt about security, safety, better accessibility, single source of truth. I think all extremely, extremely critical aspects to organizations who are going through this journey of adjusting with this new reality of remote working, work from home. It is becoming more and more critical. You're absolutely spot on, and I think this whole thing will resonate with a lot of the people who are in the call as well. So everyone, please feel free to drop in your questions. We're going to be discussing 3 topics, right? Content, information, managing security was the first topic. We will be talking about forecasting, both supply and demand forecasting, and we'll be talking about analytics. Please feel free to put all your questions in the Q&A box. And we continue the conversation, Suresh. Thanks, for all those critical insights. And I'm sure a lot of people would be seriously giving thought to that. The next topic is the smart inventory planning and optimization, another major pain area, and this has a direct impact on the bottom line and the top line of the company, right? If you have idle inventory, you have an impact on the bottom line, and if you have excess inventory, you are, going to be sitting and burning cash while your demand is not in line with that. And if you have insufficient inventory, your top line is affected because your customers are waiting, they are probably becoming unhappy, and you're not supplying. So very critical aspects, all these, and it can directly impact the balance sheet of the company, an area where everybody is concerned. So I'd request you to share some thoughts on how, if you have an ERP, what is the next step in your demand and supply planning? So over to you, Suresh.
Yeah, Kumar, it is very important point what you have brought in here, right? The challenge is many of the people in this particular session, they would have implemented some ERP, right? And we all know that actually that covers the basic foundation of any organization when it comes to their digital transformation initiative, right?
Yep.
How do we achieve that larger picture in terms of how do we digitally transform an organization, right? It is not just by automating the transactions like your basic finance and supply chain, right? It's beyond that. The real efficiency, and productivity you will be able to achieve only by improving the kind of or increasing the footprint of your applications actually. And it is also important for people to achieve that digital transformation by having more and more kind of focused applications. Yeah, and ERP is something which they may have their own tools, but there are certain industry best focused application which address specific requirements, and that's what exactly the talking point here. Right now, when we talk about inventory optimization, this is part of a larger picture, right? When you look at any organization, everybody wants to have a core focus today on their net working capital, right? And one of the key components in the net working capital is definitely inventory, right? It is dangerous to have too much of inventory, that is excess inventory, because you will have a huge cash flow issue and you're blocking your net working capital, right? It is at the same time too dangerous not having the inventory as well, right? It will definitely affect your sales and sales plan and forecast of the company, so on and so forth. What is the best, right? That is a question always what people are generally kind of concerned about. And how do we identify that optimum level, right? When I say optimum level, I don't want to kind of affect my sales negatively. At the same time, I don't want to have a cash flow issue by having too much of inventory, because too much of inventory means I end up in paying to my supplier and my liability will go up, and naturally I have to pay, right? I cannot tell my supplier, hey, I'm not able to sell it because I bought too much, I will not pay you, right? That's not possible. So it is important for us to identify that optimum level, right? That is what is the tip this tool does. And when we talk about that, there are three aspects actually. One is basically how best we can predict the demand. That's not an easy topic, right? When you look at, there are different way of doing that. When I say different way of doing that, there are multiple methods when it comes to predicting demands today. The demand forecasting, right? You have to definitely look at your historical sales. And you also have to look at actually historical sales. There are different aspects as well, right? When you look at the historical sales, you always look at actually, okay, the last year's sale is based on certain promotions I have run, right? I have given certain FOC products, free of cost products. I've done certain promotions actually. I've brought down the price. I kind of give heavy discount, right? There can be multiple formula or methods you have used in terms of making a sale active or selling more last year. Now, when you're doing your sales forecasting, the situation would have completely got changed, right? You may say that actually the situation is different today because of multiple reasons. Today, you have more competition in the market. The pricing would kind of is completely got changed, right? There are competitive products. I'm no longer able to give promotions. I'm no longer able to discount it further. Things would have been completely different, right? So another huge challenge is basically seasonality, right? Let's say that actually we typically call it intermittent sales, intermittent demand, right? Kind of, certain months sale is very high. Next month it is very low. Next month again it's gone up. Or during summer it is really gone up, and winter it is really gone down, right? Could be different the sales pattern was completely different, and you have to take all these different things when it comes to calculating your sales forecast. Actually, there are different methods available. When I say different methods available, there are intermittent demand based forecasting, automatic, moving average. We sometimes say that actually regression, freestyle. There are multiple methods in terms of doing the forecasting when it comes to your considering your historical sales, right? That is one thing. So predicting demand is one of the crucial thing, and we have a different methods, and this tool supports in terms of doing your demand forecasting. So you can have accurate demand forecasted. That's the first step. The next is basically the supply planning, right? Again, inventory optimization. When I say inventory optimization for supplying or supporting that demand, what we have forecasted, how much inventory we need to maintain, and when are we supposed to place orders to our suppliers so we get it on time. So we kind of not keeping too much of inventory, right? Organizations are going and taking a lean initiative these days, or we can call just in time. They don't want to keep too much of inventory. If the lead time is predictable, then how much minimum inventory I should be maintaining to support my sales initiative and sales plan, right? So it is important for you to look at actually how much is the safety stock, min, max, reorder, all these different things actually, right? So that is something which you have to always look at it. So it is also important for you to do the supply planning, and you need to do inventory optimization. It is important for you to plan that. Now, there are, we also call it incorrect inventory parameter. This is what I was talking about, right? Because what's the min, max, reorder, safety stock? How do we arrive at that? How do we maintain that? And it's not only maintaining in the forecasting tool, right? Identifying that and finally pass that information back to the ERP. So ERP is able to run your more of stock requirement planning or MRP kind of a processes. So you get the right output, net kind of output in terms of how much I need to purchase and when, so on and so forth, right? So there are crucial three challenges here. One is how accurately we can do the sales forecasting. Second thing is how accurately we can do the supply planning in terms of what, when, how. And it is also important in terms of seamlessly working with different ERP systems, irrespective of what ERP systems you use, and push and pull information from both the places, right? So that is the crux of it. And I would say that actually that's what exactly the inventory the forecasting, smart forecasting tool does. And it helps you in a big way to make sure that actually both the issues are taken care, there is a balance being maintained, and we find the optimum level of inventory to be bought and stocked in the organization without having an impact on my net working capital, right? That's the main challenge and question here, and that's what exactly this tool addresses.
Yeah, absolutely, Suresh. I think it's a very, very big pain point, especially with so many disruptions in the supply chain in the last 2 years or through 3 years. We have seen companies have gone through really difficult times, and safety stock is an issue at the same time. Cash in hand is an issue. Balancing it all out without a tool is a nightmare job. I can very well imagine the challenges that supply planning department has been facing in the last 3 years. So having a flexible, scalable planning solution which gives you a complete integration with the ERP to be able to have two-way communication, I think is a crucial matter to be addressed for all companies. So thanks for that. And everyone, as I said earlier, please post your questions in the questions box, Q&A box, and we'll be happy to answer any questions as we go along. So Suresh, can you just quickly summarize? I think this is a very crucial pain point. So if you could just summarize.
Absolutely, Kumar. It's my pleasure, right? But if you look at this is exactly what what I was talking about earlier. Now, there are certain critical points, right? And one is basically how do we meet customer demand, right? And how do we arrive at the customer demand, actually, right? If you ask the customer, how much are you going to buy next year? The customer is not going to give you, and they are not responsible for that as well, right? It is important for us to use proper algorithms and formulas and industry best practices to arrive at what would be the customer demand, right? Yeah. And our overall objective is basically to increase the revenue of any organization, right? Every organization has got a plan and growth initiative in terms of how much revenue I want to increase for next year. But at the same time, they always say that actually at minimum inventory cost, right? Not only from a cost perspective, when I say inventory carrying cost, right? If you have huge inventory means you have huge storage cost, right? The logistics and your cost for finance cost. That's the biggest thing, right? And if you manage to arrange funds from somewhere else, and there is a cost associated with as well, right? And many of the organizations, from my experience, what they do is they all rely on spreadsheets. And the advantage of spreadsheet is basically its flexibility. And the disadvantage of spreadsheet is also its flexibility, right? And if I, by mistake, override a formula, that's the end of it, right? Because the entire calculation formula will go for a toss. And finally, I end up in planning something else, buying something else. There is a unpleasantness everywhere, right? That's not something which we would like to have it. And it is also not easy to get organizational consensus, especially if you look at many of the organizations, there is a finger pointing at the end of the day, right? If the inventory is too much, they will say, he has given me a wrong forecast, right? And inventory is less, he will say that actually, yeah, he couldn't arrange the material, right? And that's what everybody wants to avoid and make sure that actually, we have the right inventory level is being maintained and we have a consensus across the organization stakeholders. So at the end of the day, we are not losing business because of our own inefficiencies, right? Because the cost of inefficiency is huge these days, and it's not something we can take it any further, because there are competitions who are using this kind of tools, effective tools, to plan it better and execute it better. And what we are doing here is basically, without having these tools, we are still relying on the heritage tools, heritage products, and trying to manage the situation, and it creates a lot of business disruption, or rather, I would say that actually cost to the business. That is what people wanted to avoid it. That is why people wanted to have tools. When I say tools, sophisticated tools, which helps you to achieve your digital transformation initiative.
Absolutely. Suresh, I think we have a couple of people who have already asked if they can see a demo of this specific extension. So Roy, we will get back to you, and definitely, we will come back on that. We have a few more questions, but we will come back for sure. We'll be happy to arrange a demo as we go along. Moving on to the third and equally important topic, right? You have all this data, and then it's coming, sitting all over the systems. It's in the ERP, outside the ERP. How to bring it all together, ERP data plus non-ERP data, all in one place to make sense of all the data, consume it properly, and be able to take right decisions that help the business, decisions that could improve sales, decisions that could improve profitability, decisions that could improve customer relations, productivity at the shop floor, whatever, improve the ability to optimize the inventory, because now you are having all the information at your fingertips. So there are so many varieties of enterprise data sitting, sometimes in silos, sometimes maybe in the ERP, but pulling them and out and making sense of them is itself by itself a huge task. So is there a way, Suresh, that we can automate all this, and somebody else does the job of bringing it together, instead of bunch of people sitting and pulling all the data into reports? Maybe it's all pulled, and then the same people who have decades of experience spend more time interpreting the data and making the company more efficient, more profitable, or faster to respond, or whatever. There are so many different ways that data can be consumed. So could you please talk a little bit about how we can do this?
Sure, Kumar. The data analytics, especially, it's a huge role to play when it comes to making information available to support decision-making process, right? Especially, there are two levels of informations we need to provide typically in an organization. One is from an operational reporting. When I say operational reporting, those who are working with the ERP closely would like to have certain reports, dashboards, and so on and so forth. That's something which I'm sure most of the ERPs are taking care, right? Because that's something which is part and parcel of it. Now, when it comes to the next level, which is basically people who makes decisions, would like to have information from different sources, right? Maybe you have a budget or forecast from a different tool if it is not part of your core ERP. You may say that actually you have a ERP transformation itself. You had a different ERP earlier, you have re-implemented or implemented a new system altogether from certain date onwards. But how can I live without my historical information for planning for the future, right? I may want to look at the last year's sale versus this year sales, certain ratios comparisons, certain P&L comparisons, and so on and so forth, right? So it could be any information, and last year capacity versus this year capacity, and last year shortage, or any such information, because it can be from different operational subsets, right? And when you look at that, you may not have a tool which can pull information from multiple sources and collate it together and present it as a single view, right? And there are many tools available in the market, right? Because there is a huge difference between we take a tool as it is, and the tool is not going to provide the kind of information what you need as it is. That is where the knowledge which you're buying along with that, in the form of standard content packs, right? Let's say that actually, what are all the key information or key performance indicators what people are looking at today? Let's say that actually from a sales point of view, right? From a financials, from an inventory, production, maintenance, field service, you name it, right? Each and every subsets of ERP or modules or functions may have its own KPIs which people wanted to see. And this is not something I will buy a tool and sit and codify and prepare those reports and KPIs by myself, right? The experience, what I'm expecting is the moment the tool is deployed, I will have something to start with. Definitely, the tool also allows me to build something more as and when I have more requirements, right? That's exactly what I'm looking at it. The industry, based on the industry commonly used analytics, the content packs, right? And definitely there are certain dashboards and ability to drill down, slice and dice, all those different informations actually, right? And I can also deploy this in a different way. Maybe it's on a cloud environment, maybe not my own kind of, on-premise solution. I may want to subscribe and access the information using my mobile device, my tablets, or I would say that actually simply on a browser. Or I may want to share this information with someone as well, right? And when I'm sharing this information, people may not have access to this kind of solutions. They wanted to just see the information, what I'm sharing with them, right? So the first and foremost thing is basically ability to collate and collect information from multiple sources, provide industry standard analytics actually, so people will be able to make use of it from the day one rather than spending huge effort in terms of getting something out of it, right? People are not very happy to spend months and months in terms of getting basic reports and dashboards from the system, right? That's something which is key today. So it could be financial in nature when it comes to analytics and report. It could be operational in nature. Irrespective of that, how do I pull information from multiple sources using connectors? And how quickly I can give analytics and KPIs out of the system using industry standard content packs actually, or out of the box content packs is the huge question here, right? And that's something which we can easily provide using this tool. And this is what people are looking for. And irrespective of what solution, right? It could be the document electronic content management tool, or let's say that actually inventory forecasting tool, or let's say that actually the data analytics tool, right? Irrespective of what it is one thing is very clear. People are not ready to wait for too long to get information out of it. Once you start doing something, they would like to see the results quickly, and the return on investment should be much quicker. And I would say that actually it is something which we know. It is not that actually I'll wait for another 2 years for getting some information, right? And these days, many of the projects, people are taking a different approach. They start with even this data analytics first, because they say that, there's a quick win, right? It's a low-hanging fruits actually. I can immediately get the end users, or let's say that actually the stakeholders feel that, hey, I bought something, I've started getting something, right? It is not that actually I'm waiting for 2 years to see the results, right? That's something which people do as well. So this is one of the important things, how we change that perception from people, as well as how quickly we can get information out of it, and in what format is very key. And that's what exactly this tool does. It reads information from multiple sources, present it in a nice way, as well as it provides ability to drill into the details and drill around as well. And you can have multiple analytics in one place itself. You can, I would say that actually consumerize the analytics the way you want. That's the kind of flexibility what you get using this tool. This is very key. And I'm more than happy to show you some standard out-of-the-box content packs, right? And you can see here from a company overall performance perspective, right? How am I doing compared to last year? From a, let's say that actually sales perspective, gross margin perspective, right? And EBITDA perspective. I can also see that actually different business units or divisions, their contribution. Geography-wise representation in terms of how much am I doing in each geography and each country, each state, so on and so forth, right? I can also see that actually from a customer perspective, actually, what is my DSO and overall DSO? And I can drill it down and say customer-wise, right? And what was in the past and how is it now? And I can also see that actually customer-wise contribution, top, let's say that actually 5 customers and top 10 salespeople, and so on and so forth. And what typically the customer buy from me, right? What is their preference? What is my loss of sales, right? And that's key, because, and what is the reason for that loss of sales, right? Loss of sales could be because of lack of inventory, higher price, right? Due to the logistics reason, right? So unless and until the stakeholders know what is the exact issue, they will never be able to find a solution to that and to improve the situation, right? That's exactly what the system helps, and this tool helps actually. And if you go into the next slide, Kumar, there are a couple of more kind of dashboards, like as I said, from a sales perspective, from a financial management perspective, you can have your balance sheet, P&L, all your ratios calculated, and from a sales perspective, actually what items or what products are getting sold more, which geography it is being sold, what are the items which is not kind of getting sold in the current year compared to last year. All these exception reports, exception analysis is something which is very important for me and really helped me in terms of analyzing and taking right action, right? That's something which really helped me. And if you can move into the next kind of slide, and it also talks about your inventory production. That clearly indicates actually it pretty much covers almost all the functions in an organization. People can overall look at by taking one KPI from one function, one from production, one from inventory, one from sales, one from finance. I can have my own dashboards as well, right? What is relevant for me? What kind of actions do I need to take it? And based on that, definitely what it does is basically it helps me to take decisions. And for taking that decision, whatever informations are required, that is exactly what data analytics tools provide. And I would say the biggest advantage, flexibility, is out-of-the-box content packs. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are people similar to you, similar to your industry, have done similar analysis. They have been successful. You are just using that, reusing that, rather than reinventing the wheel. Right? That is the biggest advantage what you have by having this kind of tools, actually.
Absolutely, Suresh. So just to summarize, right? Quickly get the analytics up and running. You can collaborate with the team. You can share specific analytics with certain members. They don't need to have access to the entire system or the ERP. Content packs ready-made available. Get specific to what you want rather than everything, and visualize it in different ways to be able to understand the big picture as well as drill down, understand root cause. You can integrate with ERP of your choice and be able to get secure access. So many advantages. Just a quick reminder to everyone, I can see lots of questions have popped in, but if anybody else still has any questions on any of these three solutions, please feel free to answer. Before we jump into answering your questions, I just would like to launch a quick poll just to understand, which specific area is of primary interest to you. What are the areas where you have major pain area and you want to address? So can we launch the poll, please? So you can choose 1, 2, or all three. Which are the areas which are pain areas for you? Please, we'll keep run the poll for a couple of minutes and then we'll jump into the questions. I know we will have about 10 to 15 minutes to answer your questions. Hopefully that should be enough. Everyone, could you please respond to the poll so that we get an idea what the major concern area or pain area is for you? Okay, so let us jump into the questions while you're responding to the poll. First, I think I already mentioned, Suresh, there was a question from Roy saying, when can I see the demo of demand optimization extension as well as the content management tool? So Roy, we will get back to you after the session and we can schedule some convenient time. Dennis as well. Kritika has asked a question. With all our business processes up and running, we do not have time to stop the operations and then integrate the extension. What do I need to stop stop running my ERP operation? How long will it take to implement any of these extensions? What should I be aware of before adopting any of these?
The answer is very simple, right? There is no disruption to your business. It is an extension. It is going to seamlessly work with your current ERP system, and you can straight away doing this parallelly, and the amount of time it's going to take is not too long. These are all tools which will help you to get up and running very quickly. We are talking about a couple of weeks time, right? That's what it takes, and that's the biggest advantage you have it. Now there is no disruption. There is no need to stop your current business, and you can keep extending and adding these tools to your current application landscape.
Sure. Thanks, Suresh. Dennis Anthony has asked a question saying, can you please explain having preferred vendor and automation of purchase order or based on delivery schedule, quality of terms defined in the previous PO, associated procurement cost? I'm not sure whether document management can do this, but do you think this is something that is possible through document management, or will it need actually a different solution?
Document management is not meant for that. And typically what happens is basically the document management can take the output. Let's say that actually once the PO is done, document management can just consume that PO. And let's say electronic approvals are obtained, and that can in turn send it to the supplier. And supplier also can upload other documents actually, and we can have collate all the relevant documents in the system. But in terms of achieving the requirement raised by Dennis, you very well can do that if you have a preferred supplier, and that preferred supplier can pretty much based on that preferred supplier, based on the delivery plans, you can keep raising automated PO. I think most of the ERPs do that, and that is something which you can do it. But how much to be bought, what is that procurement plan? That is something which Smart Forecast also can do it. I think it's a mix of a couple of things actually. There is a role for ERP to play here. There is something certain Smart Forecast can do it. And Smart Forecast is not something which raise PO. The PO is being raised by the respective ERP system. And the Smart PO forecasting tool will provide that input to the ERP to take right decision in terms of how much material to be bought when, and how much inventory to be maintained in the warehouse, so on and so forth. Now, the accurate inventory status is only in the ERP system, and the inventory what you have on hand or what you need minus the what you have on hand, and that's what the net inventory to be purchased, right? And definitely that is something which your ERP stock requirement planning or MRP will take care of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. The next question is from Angelina. She's asking, should organizations be worried about data during the ERP implementation or the extension implementation?
Now, ERP implementation, definitely data is something which you definitely have to be worried, because that is without proper data, you know what is going to be the end result, right? And when it comes to any of these tools, let's say that actually document enterprise content management, I don't think much of data to be uploaded. Rather, it is all about actually the correct document to be brought into the tool, and how do we archive and retrieve it actually, right? And you don't have to worry much about data from that perspective. Your data is nothing but your document, right? But when it comes to smart forecasting, definitely data is crucial, right? Without having historical sales, how are you going to calculate your future sales, right? Unless it is a new product, right? And you're using a different formula or algorithm altogether, right? And also the end result must go to the ERP system, right? And the ERP must be able to read that and process it properly, right? So data is definitely is going to play a huge role, and I think organizations who have some kind of processes already in place, I'm sure there is data available, but there will be some sort of effort required in terms of cleansing it and making sure that actually we have the right data to get the best output.
Absolutely, Suresh. So again, here the bottom line is data is absolutely crucial. You cannot ignore. Completely agree with all the past experience. There's another question from Dennis Anthony. He's saying, with respect to document management, how can I have document version control and pick up based on my previous requirements, especially when I am giving customer quotation? Because every time we have a negotiation, we have to provide a discount, and then it continues like that until from the first user, and then finally the end user signs the contract. So it's kind of like I think he's talking about like a versions where you keep discounting, and then you need to pick up a quote with the
correct. Again, it has got to do with the source system where you prepare your quotations, right? And if you say, I don't have an ERP system, I just have, let's say that actually a Word document to prepare code, then I keep creating revisions, then naturally it can be done through document management system. You can have a base version, and that is a version 1. You send it to the customer come back and ask for discounts. You take and create a new version, that's version 2, and you send that to the customer with discount. Customer come back again, you can create third version. So you can always see version 1, version 2, version 3, and version 1 is version 1 plus or minus something. Version 3 is version 2 plus or minus something, right? That is going to be the version 3, right? That's pretty simple. But if you say that actually I have an ERP and my document management system is linked to that, then naturally what happens is basically you can have all these discounting changes, all of the kind of things which is done in the ERP system. Whatever is the output you are getting from the ERP system as the revised version of your code, system will take it as a different version, right? Version 1 to version 2 to version 3 based on a unique key. The unique key could be quote number or proposal number, right? That is something which we maintain as well. So it depends on the scenario, how best we want to maintain that.
Yeah. Got it. Absolutely. There's a follow-on question from Roy Miller saying, is the analytics system covering financial analysis and planning too?
Oh, absolutely. When I say planning, there is a planning tool as well, but this is what data analytics is, mainly the financial analysis, reporting, and dashboards. But there is an extension to that for the financial planning as well. That we are talking about the planning, forecasting, reforecasting. It's more of a participative budgeting and planning. Actually, yes, these can be extended to that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. There are a couple of questions related to, I would say implementation. So I'll maybe ask both of them together. One question is from Evangeline Divya and one question is from Niveta. One is, any risks associated with implementing ERP extensions? And the second question is, if, the ERP gets upgraded, will the extension also get upgraded since technology keeps changing? Would there be an upgrade involved? Would that be how would that work? So
yeah, the ERP, it depends on what ERP you are using, right? If you are using a different ERP and you have only these plugins, and these plugins have got its own upgrade path, and as and when the new releases are there, you pretty much be able to use that. And again, it depends on kind of whether you're using an on or a cloud version, right? If it is a cloud version, the upgrades are going to take place automatically, and that's generally not going to affect your integration, right? You can have different upgrade path for your ERP and extensions, and it doesn't have to be together. But generally, the kind of technology what we use to integrate is basically not going to get impacted by upgrading either of the system, actually. So I don't think we have to get worried about it. The technology has evolved, and it is more of integration is agnostic, right? So you don't have to even kind of to the systems what you use, you don't have to really get worried about.
Right. We have a few more questions. We'll try to do justice to all the questions. Ali Al Sheikh has asked, how is AI-powered integration available in today's ERPs? Will we see AI automation in any process?
There are AI kind of capabilities, especially in the financial planning and forecasting. And there again, there are certain AI elements when it comes to your demand management forecasting as well, right? So that is definitely been there, and that is something which we use in terms of providing a kind of analytics as well as planning and forecasting when it comes to inventory as well as the financial piece of it. Yeah.
There is actually a associated question from Roy Miller. Again, he's asking, we want to centralize and automate accounts payable function. Can this be done by ECM, where we can replace humans with some AI-based document capture and archiving process?
I think it is a very important question, and it's Roy who has raised that question, right? Because you look at it, many of the organizations these days, they have a more of a BPO kind of an approach, right? Because if you are typically a multi-company organization and you have companies spread over different countries, people are going for a more of a BPO kind of a approach where they have a low-cost base where all these kind of things have been centrally been processed, right? And where that is where the document is received by someone and captured by the system automatically. Because if you have a PDF document and that is what I've been mentioning, intelligent data capturing, right? And that can be AI powered, and it will automatically capture those information, process it, and create an AP invoice. What typically people needs to do is, in case of an exception, right? We typically call it a three-way matching, right? Let's say your GR and purchase order and the AP invoice is not matching, then typically what we do is basically create an exception and send it to the respective person for review and approval, right? So this is a perfect tool for such kind of initiative, and this is where you see the best value of this kind of tools actually, and you see return on investment much quicker and faster.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and this is only going to get better, right? If you have a specialized tool, it will just keep improving as they add more and more use cases to the AI aspect, so you can keep improving the automation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This question, I think, was, you already hinted this, Suresh, but explicitly again, Roy has asked, what is the typical implementation time for the analytics content packs?
Analytic content pack implementation is much quicker. As I said, we can pretty much see if it is only standard content packs, it can be very quick, and otherwise if you have more and more requirement, that's something which you can do it yourself, right? You don't want to kind of rely on a vendor who does that. It's more of training and installation and making sure that actually you are getting what you require in the beginning itself, actually, and that's really quick. It's not going to take months, actually.
Yeah. His question was, can we do it in 3 to 4 weeks?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. There are a couple more questions. I know we are nearly out of time, so very briefly, I have an existing ERP. We have Oracle and SAP. Will this work with my ERP? This is from Deepika.
Yeah, it definitely, because if you look at document management system, enterprise content management, smart forecasting, and data analytics, all these things can work with multiple ERP platforms, actually. It is not just linked to one ERP. It is ERP agnostic, because this is our industry vertical focused solutions, actually, right? It is meant for all industries, all organizations, irrespective what platform you have it currently in place. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, we have totally run out of time, gentlemen. So if you have any other questions, we will be more than happy to answer them. You can post this, you can respond back to your invitation, and we'll be more than happy to answer. And for those of you who have requested for a demo, we will definitely schedule some sessions, and we can have you look at these solutions. Yeah. So we are RheinBrücke, and we are specialists in ERP implementations globally. We are more than happy to help you with any other challenges that you might have. Thank you very much. I know we had a very huge participation from all over, which was very nice, and lots of interesting questions. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but we will reach out to you and answer if any question got unanswered. Thank you so much. And Suresh, thank you very much. Very, very interesting session. A lot of insights. Looking forward to maybe catching up with people in individual sessions for each of these products.
Thank you, Kumar. Thank you for kind of anchoring this, as well as thank you everyone who attended this particular session, and thanks for your questions as well. Thanks for keeping it active. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Have a good day.